Hey fam, as I was saying, that last video cut me off short. But anyway, to make this reel even shorter, I've dropped some videos that I've made in the past about Agenda 21 and everything that's happening today, so you guys can check it. I call it my receipts. So anyway, this video I wanted to talk about, and my last video came out sideways. No idea what's going on with that, but maybe it's something to do with censorship or something. But anyway, I was too engrossed in trying to make another video to try to fix it. So for those of you that watch it, you might want to do one of these, or you might want to turn the camera. I don't know. I'm sorry about that one. But anyway, I want to talk about real quick about actually chapter 1 of a book that I heard one of my conspiracy theory friends talk about called Baron Trump. Baron Trump, the complete Baron Trump collection. Okay, this book was written, I should have looked it up, but somewhere, it might have been around the 1900s or something, or earlier than that. Because the last chapter in it's three books, and the last book is called The Last President, or 1900. Now, the first chapter, I recommend that you guys buy the book yourself and read it. It's interesting reading. But all the conspiracies that I heard about were not really true. They say that Baron Trump was going to be the last president. It doesn't even mention Baron Trump in this last book. I just want to cut to the quick right there and let you know that's not true. Baron Trump will not be the last president. But Trump, anyway, I don't want to get into a Trump spiel right now. The book is very interesting, and what I notice is how they think so lowly of the average person. And by the third chapter, I was totally disgusted. I was like, really? They really talk down about the average person because Trump was somehow some kind of royalty, or they had money, his family had a lot of money, and they felt themselves better, and they did a lot of traveling and did things that their servants couldn't afford to do. So basically, yeah, basically he was rich or whatever, and he went out on these journeys. And what do rich people got to do but just go out? And I don't want to talk about Hessing either. Whew. Anyway, he traveled everywhere. He didn't have a worry in the world or bills to pay, nothing. So had all kinds of money, and he went traveling all around the world to meet different cultures and meet different people. And he learned a lot. He was very educated, very well traveled and stuff. And but the first pack of people after Baron Trump was born, and then a couple years later, that in the book it described that, or he described that his head became huge and bulbous, and abnormally it wasn't aligned with the rest of his body. And the reason that he gave was because he was so intelligent. That made him very intelligent. He was just so smart. And I'm like, really? Anyway, it had nothing to do with that, does it? I would think there was something wrong with him. But anyway, the point is that he said he was so intelligent because his head was gigantic and bulbous and not even, it wasn't average. And so he set out on adventures, and his mom was like, no, you can't, you're too, something could happen. And they said, don't worry, I have my dog BULGER come with me. And that's actually the name of the first book is Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog BULGER. So him and BULGER set off, and they after a while, and he said, don't worry, I have my dog with me. So he takes off, and he meets the Wind Eaters. Now, these people he met a civilization that called themselves the Wind Eaters. This civilization didn't eat food. What they did was they take particles and stuff from the atmosphere, and that's how they ingest. And when they ingest a lot of air, their skin was really thin, and when they ingested this air, they would blow up like balloons. And when they wouldn't breathe or whatever, go to certain areas, there was north area, south area, different flavors of air that they had. Whenever they hadn't eaten for a while, they would get really thin and their skin would shrink. So what happened was, the part that really freaked me out was a part where he starts talking about all these children that were wind eaters, and they had eaten. And for some reason, they were playing around. They wanted to play, and what they did was they would interlock their arms and legs, and since they were balloons, they would go floating around. Okay, so for some reason, Baron Trump had a needle in his, I guess, in his coat pocket or in his something, and one of the first baby closest to him popped and exploded, and it set a chain reaction, and all the babies that were tied together, they all died. And that wasn't the weirdest part. He said that the people seemed to be okay. They were okay with it. They know it was a mistake, and they just blew it off and went on with their lives. Which almost seems like what's happening with Epstein, because when you have files that are describing the torture, the disgusting things that were happening on Epstein Island that Trump for sure had his hand in, we're like, oh, whatever. I don't see us storming the White House right now and attacking these pedophiles that have raped children and killed children and doing what they're doing. It's just unbelievable to me. But anyway, that's my take on the first chapter of this Baron Trump book. It's a conspiracy theory of Baron Trump being the last president. And there's a quote from the first chapter, or from chapter 3 actually, that I would like to read to you also, aside from them not caring about the babies being exploded and all, that's all good, it's not your fault, right? Babies dying was no big deal. There's a part in chapter 3 that describes, it describes basically how they mess with the court system, how Baron Trump messed with the court system. As you can see, the court system is a complete shit show right now in the United States. It's like Trump is suing America, Americans are suing Trump, American organizations are suing Trump, back and forth. The court systems are packed right now. And somebody said, don't worry, checks and balances, and yeah, I'm waiting for, you know how slow the court system works, for things to actually pop off and get rid of this evil that's taken over our country. So anyway, there's a quote in there that kind of describes the fuckery that's going on in the court system today, okay? What they think they can do, what Trump thinks he can do. And the quote is, the court, upon hearing my testimony, rendered an opinion which covered 5,000 pages of legal paper and required a whole week to read, in which they held that each thing that I had taught to each of my 32 tutors was so remarkably strange and particular that in the eye of the law it was worth at least $100. That made the bill to each tutor amount to $5,000, or $160,000 in all. The court then adjourned for a year, and all 3 judges, being so worn out mentally and physically as to need a 12-month rest before taking up any other business. Okay, basically that's what's going on, what Trump's trying to do, is tie up the court system so much that that there's no way they could read everything. But to his disgust and to my delight, there's so many judges and court systems out there that there's not going to just 3 judges that are going to be worn out at the end of this. But basically that's one of the things that Trump is doing right now, and it's in the first book. He's doing that right now, tying up the court system and hoping that some things will slip through. You know what I mean? Some things will slip through, and that will bring the end of us. But anyway, that's my take on the first book of the 3-part book series from Baron Trump. And I'm going to make my videos short because YouTube is messing with me, and now my camera wasn't uploading stuff, so it's just ridiculous. But that's my point. Trump is trying to tear up the court system, and they don't give a shit about babies dying. And that's in that book. That's the way their lifestyle is. So anyway, I'm going to be back with more information on book 2. of this 3-book part series. Bye.